Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Tuesday, the 8th of April. I'm CJ Baumgartner. Corey Tackman over on the far side. In the middle is our guy Zeke. This is the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Fellas, last time we can do this for the year. The Basketball Mayhem 2025 Bracket Challenge, brought to you by the Elmer Goshi Post 3922 of Wadena, gave somebody a chance to win $1 million. Unfortunately, nobody was able to get a perfect bracket, but somebody was able to win $250 thanks to the VFW in Wadena. Corey, it was a pretty tight race to the finish.
Yeah, $250 prize pack to the Wadena VFW goes to Ron Wanis, who going into last night's national championship game was 12 points back of first place. But the victory to the victor goes the spoils. He had Florida winning the whole thing. Florida won the whole thing, and that was enough for Ron to leapfrog into first place. I'm obviously very happy for Ron for getting the W, and we're starting to work out some details now, and when he gets to go to the VFW and claim that prize pack, and we'll do pictures and all that sort of thing. But I have to tell this story because the person he leapfrogged was Mike Lake, who was in first place pretty much the entire time.
The whole time.
He sent a message this morning that said, "Can't you do a prize for the person with the most correct picks throughout the entire tournament?" He did. He had the most correct picks, but he got the championship game wrong, and it was enough of a jump in those points that you get for him to not drop to second place. You guys, all the way down to a tie for sixth. Nobody picked more correct games than Mike Lake, and he walks off with a white participation medal.
Yeah,
did you tell him that Houston led for all but 63 seconds last night and still didn't win?
It's the regular season champion. You had the most wins in the regular season. You got the 1 seed, but you just weren't able to come home with the title.
You were the offensive player of the year. Ron Wanis is the MVP. That's just how it works. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it works. But overall, thanks everybody for playing in that Bracket Mayhem Challenge brought to you by the VFW in Wadena. It was fun once again. My bracket finished in 15th, which the way things were going throughout the course of the bracket was not looking good, but I was able to pick the national champion, so that saved me in the end.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. As we learned, you will get some points by just picking the champion. No, it was awesome.
I have not looked at my bracket in 3 weeks, so I have no idea where I finished because I rage quit. So
yeah,
it was the first weekend, and then just flipped it around the table, and then just said forget it.
I had a pretty rough go myself with this one. I'm trying to log in right now to see if it will show me where I finished in the whole thing, but wasn't ideal. I tied for 35th with 82 points. That's not great. Not great at all.
Where did Zeke finish? Can we look?
I don't know. He'd have to.
I'll look it up here.
I suppose we could search him.
Did you watch
in 40th with 72 points?
Oh my gosh, that was even worse.
40th?
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well,
other than that,
it was a good try or something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You get an A for effort. So
you want
me and Mike Lake get the same prize at the end of the day.
Oh man, why do we got to pick on Mike? He was doing his best.
Did you guys watch the game last night?
I ended up watching the last couple minutes, which there's a couple ways you could look at that last possession of the game, and it's either a really bad, kind of execution by Houston, which there's a case to be made. Other than that, I can't remember the number one for Florida is, that guy just made like a super good defensive effort and kind of blew up the play like a defensive lineman in football. Just gets into the backfield and wrecks the greatest play ever drawn up is kind of what happened for Florida at the end. They ended up blowing up that play. and then they kind of have to double clutch the 3, and had the weird thing where he threw the ball up in the air, but he couldn't grab it because it'd be a travel and whatever. And Florida's your national champion for the first time since Corey Brewer put on the uniform.
Corey Brewer. I compared him this week to Clyde Drexler. Clyde Drexler, I remember growing up watching him play and it being very clear to me that there was he was the bridge between two eras of basketball, and it was how he dribbled. It was just like really high and out in front of him. It just looked like a bygone era of basketball, and nobody that was younger than that dribbled that way. And then it occurred to me that there was one guy who dribbled like Clyde Drexler, and that was Corey Brewer. It's just high. It was always like at his chest, and it just always looked kind of out of control. And then sometimes you'd look up, and his head was 11 feet in the air, giving the craziest dunk you've ever seen in your life.
Insane.
Yeah, we watched second half last night. My son Judah picked Florida because we went to Disney World last month, and so now he loves Florida, and that's why he picked Florida to win it. And so it was a 12-point Houston lead at halftime, and it was getting late. It was like 8:15, 8:30, and 12-point lead. I'm like, oh, maybe we should get you to bed. It's a school night. He's like, oh, let me have 5 more minutes. I'm like, okay, if Florida goes on a bit of a run here, we can stay and watch more game. And we ended up watching the whole thing last night, and just it not as poorly executed as the last minute of that Duke game was, but man, Houston has to just be heartbroken today because the 63 or 65 seconds was all that Florida led in that game. I mean, they're behind the whole time. Clayton Jr. didn't score a bucket till 8 minutes left in the game. I mean, when your best player is kept off the board and you're still in the game and come away with the win, that's huge. So Houston Cougars fans still winless in the championship game. Hakeem Olajuwon couldn't do it, and now.
Yeah, they. I was really. You would think if anybody would know to hunker down in the last couple minutes, it would be Houston, because it literally just worked out in their favor. But it was just a weird game. And CJ, you're right. I thought that guy defended it really well, but also, hey, shooter, take like a dribble to your left. I understand, like it was open. It was open for you to take. Well, you didn't have to force that shot up with 6 seconds left. The guy was there. It's not like he blew it up, but it's not like he came out of nowhere.
Right.
He was the guy guarding you. Take one more dribble or make one more pass. I was just, it was, man, I just wanted to see the shot in the air. If it doesn't go in, so be it. But to watch him just slam the ball into the ground and then box out somebody and hope his teammate gets it in time, talk about going out with a whimper. That sucked.
Yeah, the thing that stinks the worst is I watched ESPN yesterday. They had a segment on Houston and how well conditioned these guys are. I think the average time for their players to run a mile is 5 minutes and 30 seconds or something. Jeez. Yeah, everyone on that team has a 5.5 second or a 5 minute and 30 second mile. The other thing they worked on was they worked on that drill for that last play. If the ball's on the floor, they have like in football, you got one guy over here, one guy over here.
Like the Oklahoma drill, but in basketball. Yeah.
And they showed them running that play and having contests to see who could get to the ball the fastest. And for that to be featured on that segment, and then to have your season end on that play, just another gut punch for Houston there.
They also they had the press a possession or two earlier where Florida effectively threw it away. But there was no one in that like just across half court to the top, that little quadrant that was on the near sideline. There just happened to be no one there, and Florida outran Houston to get to that ball. I mean, it's totally.
And the guy almost traveled, but the guy beat him to the spot and fouled him. And
exactly.
Yeah. So it's a game of inches, a game of seconds, all that stuff. And the other thing for Florida, by the way, we're talking about all the ways that Houston has lost it, and that's true. Florida has kind of been the comeback kid every single tournament game. They were down against UConn. They were down against Texas Tech. They were down against Auburn. They were down against Houston. Like, all of their things, every time they'd be like, oh, Florida had a weird first half. And at the beginning of the tournament, I got weird. But then once it got to, like, the Elite Eight, every time they were down at halftime, it's like, no, they're going to find a way to win, because that's just what they were able to do. Like, they just were able to have a really good last 2 minutes and come back and win. And that's how they knocked off UConn. It's how they knocked off Texas Tech. It's how they knocked off Auburn. And it's how they became the national champions. And I know Florida is seen as a football school for obvious reasons because it's down in Florida, but the Gators being back on top of the college basketball world is very nostalgic for me because when I really started to get into college basketball was around that time when Florida were the Kings and Billy Donovan was at the peak of his powers, and you had Joakim Noah and you had Corey Brewer running those Gator teams, and they went back to back. Those were the first ever titles for the Gators, and now this is their third that they get in school history. Coach Golden there with the Gators doing pretty darn well for being a Bruce Pearl disciple and now running things in the SEC.
Was Raymond Felton on those Florida teams, or am I confusing him with somebody else?
Oh,
Al Horford was on that team.
Al Horford, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Al Horford.
North Carolina, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I think the Wolves drafted the fifth guy, and he wasn't very good. Well, they got Brewer, too. They got Brewer and Richard something in the second round. I was like, oh, here we go. We're building back. Wolves back. And
biggest mistake of your life was thinking David Kahn knew what he was doing.
I got to look up who that fifth guy on that team was.
By the way, we were talking earlier about the different awards. That was one of the awards, is the David Kahn GM moment of the year.
Who won?
Nico and Dallas for trading Luka.
Why draft Steph Curry when you can have 2 point guards? One was bound to work out.
Ty Lawson in that same draft. Ricky Rubio is still defensible. Johnny Flynn and then Ty Lawson later. Kick him into the sun.
Also combine that with the Kevin Garnett trade and the return he got on that.
Yeah. Chris Richard was the fifth. Chris Richard was the fifth guy on that team.
Chris Richard.
Yeah.
Richard.
At least we'll have the Corey Brewer.
Timberwolves great.
But that came in the Flip Saunders era when Flip brought him back, not necessarily David Kahn drafting him. So you take it with a grain of salt. But yeah. Was Corey Brewer, wasn't he in the trade that got Kevin Garnett back to Minnesota? I know he came back to the Wolves, but he ended up getting traded again. I can't remember quite how that worked out. He had a very fascinating Wolves career and just an NBA career in general. 2011 NBA champion with the Dallas Mavericks. So he's got that going for him. Speaking of college basketball news, big recruit out of Nico Medved's squad for the Gophers getting that Davidson transfer whose name, what was it? Bobby Durkin, which is just a great college basketball white guy name. To have a big time player for Davidson. And look, there's a lot of, if you were talking about players that come out of Davidson to do some pretty good stuff at the next level, that's got to be a good omen for Coach Medved. So
there is one. Name two. Name two.
Pass.
Bobby Durkin.
Bobby Durkin.
There's got to be a second one at some point. Anyway, all right, we're gonna do a new game on the morning sports.
Hold on here. I have one thing that I saw last night. Speaking of Nico Medved and the Gophers, I think it was WCCO last night. It did a feature on the coach and how he's dealing with the NIL, and I just saw a clip with Parker Fox. And the question was like, how is the NIL? Is it really impacting the transfer portal and things like that? And they cut to Parker Fox going, yeah, definitely. I mean, you're talking about everybody 18 to 22 years old, and that's money that they've never seen before. And meanwhile, Parker Fox is balding and graying and is closer to 30 than 20. It was just so funny to hear him talk about 18 to 22-year-old kids like he's their grandpa. He's like that big brother, but there's like a 10-year age difference between like when those two brothers. So they're brothers technically, but it's more like an uncle. He's like a Mormon missionary still playing sports, except for the part where he's not a Mormon and never went on a missions trip. Most obvious former player turned coach assistant of all time. Just slid right into like, well, I'm done playing. Hey, Nico, is there a spot at the end of the bench I can have? I'll just go. I'll go grab some basketballs for you halfway through practice. I so look forward to the like fringe story of former Gopher Parker Fox leads Mitchell, South Dakota to its 4th straight high school championship.
He's gonna take over. He's gonna take over Northern State and Aberdeen in 10 years or something like that, and figure that out. So anyway,
one more note. I'm gonna interrupt you one more time. I found another Davidson player, the number 1 overall pick for the 1965 draft. Davidson's Fred Hetzel.
Oh yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Of course,
that's the other Davidson guy.
That's who I was thinking of. I just couldn't remember the year. So
there have been 6 of them. 65, 68, 66, 70, and 2009. Yeah.
No. Did the Wolves also pass on him?
Probably. The Lakers did.
Yeah. Good job.
We already got a Bud Grant type. What do we need Fred Hetzel?
Exactly.
We got George Mikan. What do we need him for? All right. Now we should probably talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Corey, what's going on there?
Triple the fun when you triple your visits to the FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is for FunZone Reward members. And yes, we know you can be a Ranch Rewards member. You can also be a FunZone Rewards member. Earn 1,000 free FunZone tickets when you play. Stop by the FunZone to play your favorite games. When you buy a new FunZone card at the FunZone or online. And when you reload your FunZone card at the FunZone or online. Now, you only have until the end of the month to take care of this, but check things out on the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade Facebook page. There's a QR code you can scan, and you are officially off and running. Triple the fun when you triple your points with the FunZone rewards, and then, eat some lunch while you're there, too. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
All right, so we are going to play a new game today on the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Zeke, you're the one who found this game, so enlighten us. What is it?
Yeah, it's called the Daily Walkoff. It's a baseball trivia game. You get 12 players, 4 categories, 3 players in each category, and it's a grid. You have to slide the guys over to their respective categories that they belong in. Like yesterday's was like 1,000 career plate appearances for this team, played most of their games at third base, stole 30 bases, and I forget what the other one was. But you get 12 players, you swap them around, and there's one for each team. So if you're a Twins fan, if you're a Cardinals fan, if you're a Mets fan, you can do it for your respective team. So it's not it's a little bit it's not as broad as Immaculate Grid, where you, like, looking at this one, you have Dylan Bundy on this list. That's awesome. Jesse Crane, the Crane wreck, Chris Archer. Yeah, it's very reminiscent for each team to put guys in these slots.
And then you get 3 outs to do it.
Yeah. 3 chances and to try and get it going. It's also really, really hard to do it for a team other than your favorite baseball team. I tried just picking Milwaukee. I know a decent enough about them just out of pure geographical relevance. And the only player I recognized was Paul Molitor. So I was like, I'm going to go back to the Twins. So this is where we go here. So right on the top, 1970 to 2020, top 3 wins. Then you go to 1970 to 2020, top 3 in extra base hits. 2022 starting pitcher, debuted with Minnesota. So obviously the 2022 starting pitcher, we're just going to move over here, and we're going to move there. We're pretty confident in that row, fellas.
Very.
Yeah, they don't go anywhere else. But the good news is the 9 guys left all debuted with Minnesota. So we got, or maybe Sonny, they all did. They all debuted with Minnesota. We got that going for us.
Yeah, exactly. So we go top 3 wins. I'm going to guess that means pitcher wins. So let's try and sort it out that way. Brad Radke feels like he belongs right there. Feel like Burt Blyleven probably. And then the other
Jesse Crane. Oh.
Jesse Crane will probably go with the debuted with Minnesota. Extra base hits. This is the other one. Probably Mauer over
Mauer and Spano. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, guys, this is
an easy one.
This is an easy one. We might have to pull another one.
That went pretty smooth.
Pretty smooth. How do we feel? Ready to take a swing?
I think we just hit a leadoff grand slam, if that's even possible.
I think we did too.
Here we go.
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom. All right, a walk-off home run on the first swing.
All right, well, we got to go back a day and try again.
Yeah, let's go to a
that
different
was
day.
too easy.
Let's go to March. Let's go to March 28th. So we got 1960s.
I love vagueness. Mainly played infield.
Yeah, played with Shannon Stewart. This is what I'm talking about.
1960s top 5 hits. 1991 mainly played infield. 2010s top 5 in hits. Played with Shannon Stewart.
So good.
So good. So Jason Bartlett can sit in that category. Technically, Joe Mauer could go there as well.
I think I would move him over there right now.
Well, unless he's 2010's top 5 hits.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody else fits it. I think it's Mauer, Hunter, Bartlett are the only 3 that.
That's true.
Rosario certainly didn't.
Yeah, Joe Mays has to be over there though.
Has to be
Shannon Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That was that 03, 04-ish.
So that's the only one maybe here, huh?
Well, I feel like first of all, I'm gonna move.
Let's do your infielders then, because we can do.
Yeah, 91 infielders will be Pagliarulo, Knobloch,
and Herbeck.
Yeah,
that's pretty safe. Bang, bang, bang. Eddie Rosario did not play in the 1960s. Let's swap him with Tony O.
Yep.
Tony O, Harmon, Bob Allison. That feels correct.
Yep.
That feels correct. Now here we top 5 hits. I feel like we got to swap Mauer.
You got to swap and Mays, because it turns out Mays probably had. Do you think Mays got a hit that year?
Potentially, just not with the Twins
in an interleague series. Do you think Joe Mays got a hit? I
mean, it's the whole decade of the 2010s. So, I mean, heck, who remembers a single play from the 2013 Minnesota Twins? Raise your hand. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, guys. So here we go. All of our powers combined. This is pretty easy. Here we go. Ready? Bam, 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 bam. Another one.
So good.
Walk-off home run. Here we go. All right, let's do one more. This is March 29th. All right, 2015, 35-plus games pitched. 2017, 85-plus strikeouts as a batter. 2019, top 5 starts in pitching. And a 2-time Gold Glove winner with Minnesota through 2023. Michael,
who is J.R. Graham and who is Aaron Thompson?
No idea.
They sound like perfect members of the 2015 or 17 Minnesota Twins.
Do you want to know how many career hits Joe Mays has? Anybody want to guess?
How many?
5.
6 years in the league. What's your guess?
Ooh, 6 years in the league.
I'm going to go 68.
You think he had 68 hits?
Yeah, I don't know.
3.
5 was a better guess. He had 6.
Oh.
When he played for the Dodgers and Phillies. Or was that Eric Milton? I don't remember.
All right. This is 35 plus games pitched in 2015.
Yep, Casey Fiend fits that one. I know 2017, that's definitely a Jason Castro kind of stat. Kyle Gibson's not.
He didn't pitch, though.
Jason Castro?
Did Jason Castro pitch?
He was a catcher.
That's what I know. That's what I'm saying. So he can't go in that category.
Yeah, no, he can't go in but he can go in the strikeouts here.
Yes, he can.
So Kyle Gibson, but Kyle Gibson could also go into the 2019 top 5 starts.
And then Pineda.
Yeah, Pineda. Where did he go? Yeah. He goes in the 2019.
No.
Definitely.
Is he that recent?
Pineda played in 2019. That was his first year in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. They signed him in 2018, but he rehabbed that whole year.
Yeah.
So is Perez is the other answer for the 2015?
Or would it be 2019?
Martin Perez played for the Twins in 2019.
Martin! He almost no-hit the Twins last week. Remember that? That was cool.
Then I think the 2015 answer is Graham.
Probably.
J.R. Graham.
Yeah, what the heck am I doing here? We want to switch that for that. Switch that for that. Because definitely that. Torrey Hunter probably goes in.
Torrey Hunter was probably playing for the Angels that year.
In 2017, Hunter was retired. So yeah, so where does Aaron Thompson go? Probably here, right? Like, because Kyle Gibson definitely, he made a bunch of starts in 2019. So did Big Mike. So did Martine.
I don't remember Martin Perez.
I just have no clue who those two guys are. So I feel like stashing them in 2015.
2015 bullpen guys. Yeah.
What a blur 2015 was. There was so much. There was like the Buxton debut, the Sano debut, Torrey Hunter coming back, the Twins over-exceeding expectations in Molitor's first year. So much hype, all to be just wiped away in 2016 that got everybody fired.
You guys don't think Miguel Sano belongs in the Gold Glove category?
As a right fielder, no?
As a right no.
He definitely belongs in the 85-plus strikeouts.
Is there a category for most patrons hit by a errant throw towards home?
No, but I know we had Brian Dozier on the last list. Brian Dozier is the reason why, or no, Eddie Rosario, I think, is the reason why they expanded the netting, because he had a liner that hit a girl at Yankee Stadium, remember?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we need to expand the netting down the baseline.
I'll pay attention. How about that?
Like
an
8-year-old girl.
I like this list.
Yeah. I mean,
about this.
I think we're good.
I have cursory memories of J.R. Graham existing. I have no idea what Aaron Thompson is.
Isn't that J.R. Romero?
J.C. Romero.
J.C. Romero. Yeah. Fernando Romero?
Yeah.
He was
J.C. Romero and Tony Fiore were the building blocks of that rotation.
All right, Brian, I like it.
Here we go.
Do it. 3 for 3.
Bam. Oh my gosh. Here we go. 3 walk-off home runs.
This is so easy.
So all 3 of us combined, it's not even fair. All right.
We're too smart.
One more?
one more, because
One
we're
more?
on a roll. March 30th. Here we go. Year 2000, top 3 home runs. Year 2000, top 4 strikeouts as a pitcher. Year 2000, top 5 in stolen bases. Year 2000, top 6 in games pitched. So this is kind of this is the 2000 Twins are a little bit kind of past my memory of like Twins I grew up watching. It was before kind of the 02 run.
Gosh, I love looking at these names. Remember Hector Carrasco?
Yes. Mark Redmond.
And Matt Lawton. I loved Matt Lawton.
Coondog is on here.
Mark Redmond.
So good.
All right. Here we go. Top 3 home runs in the year 2000. Probably not Brad Radke. So
maybe home runs allowed.
Yeah. I would say that's your answer, probably right there.
Koski, Jones, Lawton.
Yeah.
Does Coondog jump in there? Because where else does Coondog go?
Ooh, that's true.
Probably not top 5 stolen bases.
Yeah, that's true.
So that probably goes to Jock.
I would maybe replace Jock Jones. Yeah.
All right. How do we look in year 2000, top 4 strikeouts as a pitcher? Probably not Christian Guzman. So who are we replacing? LaTroy?
I would.
Was he in the bullpen yet at that point, or was he in the rotation yet?
I don't think he was in the bullpen yet, but I can't remember.
I'd say
you only have 3 starters on here. I mean, unless you include LaTroy, but Radke, Mays, and Carrasco are your starters. Maybe Mays was still in the bullpen then.
Maybe, or Mark Redmond. Where was he at?
I don't even know what that is.
He was a pitcher.
Yeah, well, I would say lean towards the relievers in the games pitched and lean towards the starters and the strikeouts.
Okay, well then was Eddie we think Eddie was the closer by then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you put Eddie in the games pitched. I would.
Okay. For who?
Who cares? Let's just, because you're picking bullpen guys here, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like Carrasco was a starter. I feel like he was a starter. That's what my.
Yeah, I feel like Mark Redmond was in the rotation that year too, but it just depends on who. Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe that's it.
This is it. We want to go with this.
Well, for that category,
yeah. Well, we got to move Christian Guzman. So move him for
Redmond.
Move him for Redmond. Okay, ready to take a swing?
I think so.
I think that looks good.
Here we go. We're putting our integrity on the line. Oh.
Well, I wonder how
I wonder who we have to switch.
stolen bases for Mr. Koski, huh?
Yeah.
Respect the
I wasn't expecting to get the pitching ones right and the hitting ones wrong.
No. Hey, you know what? That might be a good one to end on.
That's a good one to end on. Yeah. I mean, part of me thought about Jock because he was sneaky with the power because everybody thinks of him like hitting the little league home run with the bunt and like obviously slashing down the lines. But remember his opening day in 2002? No,
CJ, I don't want to sound like the old guy here, but that is. Let me tell you who Jack Jones was. That was not Jack. Those things happened to Jack Jones. Jack Jones was like Matt Wallner before Matt Wallner. He was a power hitting leadoff guy and a crazy arm. He was not like.
I'm saying the way Twitter represents him.
Well, they're wrong.
Except on opening day when everybody shows his 3-homer day or whatever against the Royals.
Absolute one of the all-time fan favorites. Well, I mean, obviously Kirby Puckett, like Torrey Hunt, like there are superstars who fill that category. Jack Jones might be like, I'm not a superstar, but everybody still loves me.
It's the Brian Dozier level of kind of like.
Yeah, but Brian Dozier was better than Jack.
Yeah.
It was just a weird, just like Jack Jones and Torrey Hunter running around and then Matt Lawton and Wright, that outfield was awesome.
The Twins' run of center fielders has been unparalleled. It feels like they just
it was just a different, like those early 2000s teams felt so different than anything that we grew up watching. It was like there were like athletes everywhere and there were spark plugs everywhere. And there was at any time somebody could hit the ball out of the ballpark. Like God bless Ron Coomer, but like Ron Coomer was a holdover from a bygone, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, like this is a guy named Jack Jones. He's just cool.
I
love Jack Jones.
I think Ron Coomer was an all-star for the Twins in 2000, maybe.
He was an all-star in a lot of those teams where it's like somebody's got to go to the all-star.
Someone's got to go, yeah.
Here's Ron Coomer.
Yeah, Jack Jones never had more than 13 stolen bases in a season.
Interesting.
Home run totals 19, 14, 27, 16, 24, 23, 27.
Wow. All right, well, good game, fellas. We can add this one to the rotation. Zeke, tell everybody about this game again, what it's called and where they can find it.
It is called, I forget. Hold on. I'm lost in my baseball reference. It's called Daily Walkoff. You can find it at dailywalkoff.com. You can play for any team that you want.
All right, but do the Twins. That's way more fun.
Do the Twins.
All right, guys.
How many home runs do you think Ron Coomer had in 2000 to be top 3?
Oh, I'm going to say 18.
No. That can't be right. I bet. I'll say maybe like 11.
He had a career high 16 home runs.
Oh, wow. Good guess.
Flashing the power.
Flashing the old power of the 90s.
With a minus 0.2 wins above replacement.
Well, that's B war. You know, we got to check the F war. So we got that'll save him. That'll save him. Yeah. Ron Coomer. I always remember because we didn't have a ton of video games growing up, but the one in the early days. But we had somebody gave us their old PlayStation. It wasn't even a PS2. And we had like MLB leadoff or whatever it was called. And the leading off of the Twins and the way that the game had it set on the default was Ron Coomer every single time. And now he's the color commentator for the Chicago Cubs radio. So
yeah, he is.
He's good.
Making it big time. He's got a good voice. It definitely stands out. Like, Ron Coomer's talking. So anyway, that'll do it for us. See you later.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.